Welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast, your go-to source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We hope you tune in often for all things people management, organizational development and change, organizational leadership, and social impact related. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with Human Capital Innovations Podcast. Welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. In this inspiring TED Talks HCI podcast episode, I explored Drew Dudley's famous 2010 TED Talk, Everyday Leadership. Welcome back to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. It's good to be with you again today for this inspiring TED Talks HCI podcast episode. Today I'll be exploring Drew Dudley's famous 2010 TED Talk, Everyday Leadership. Drew Dudley's whole approach is to make sure everyone understands how to bring out the leader within. Too many people think great leadership is reserved for extraordinary people. His humorous take will remind you of all the little things leaders do each day. Leadership may be self-taught, but certainly isn't reserved to a special segment of society. Dudley reminds us that leadership is an everyday act that should be celebrated. Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you on the flip side of this first clip.
How many of you are completely comfortable with calling yourselves a leader? See, I've asked that question all the way across the country, and everywhere I ask it, no matter where, there's always a huge portion of the audience that won't put up their hand. And I've come to realize that we have made leadership into something bigger than us. We made it into something beyond us. We made it about changing the world. And we've taken this title of leader and we treat it as if it's something that one day we're going to deserve. But to give it to ourselves right now means a level of arrogance or cockiness that we're not comfortable with. And I worry sometimes that we spend so much time celebrating amazing things that hardly anybody can do that we've convinced ourselves that those are the only things we're celebrating. And we start to devalue the things that we can do every day. And we start to take moments where we truly are a leader, and we don't let ourselves take credit for it, and we don't let ourselves feel good about it. And I've been lucky enough over the last 10 years to work with some amazing people who have helped me redefine leadership in a way that I think has made me happier. And with my short time today, I just want to share with you the one story that is probably most responsible for that redefinition.
Do you consider yourself a leader? If not, why not? He starts his TED Talk asking the audience that question, and I think it's a really important one. His point is that we all do all sorts of things each and every day that is meaningful and impactful on other people's lives. So why don't we consider that leadership? Why do we have such a narrow view of what leadership is and who leaders are? Is it worthwhile to redefine leadership in a way that's more inclusive, in a way that we can see ourselves in it, and we can see the opportunities in front of us to be able to make a difference in the lives of those around us, the people at work, our families, people in our neighborhoods and our communities? I am a complete believer in his approach to leadership, and I believe we are all leaders. We all have leadership capacity.
I went to a school on a little school called Mount Allison University in Sackville, New Brunswick. And on my last day there, a girl came up to me and she said, "I remember the first time that I met you." And then she told me a story that happened 4 years earlier. She said, "On my day before I started university, I was in the hotel room with my mom and my dad, and I was so scared and so convinced that I couldn't do this, that I wasn't ready for university, that I just burst into tears. And my mom and my dad were amazing. They were like, 'Look, we know you're scared, but let's just go tomorrow. Let's go to the first day. And if at any point you feel as if you can't do this, that's fine. Just tell us, we will take you home. We love you no matter what.'" And she said, so I went the next day and I was standing in line getting ready for registration, and I looked around and I just knew I couldn't do it. I knew I wasn't ready. I knew I had to quit. And she says, I made that decision, and as soon as I made it, there was this incredible feeling of peace that came over me. And I turned to my mom and my dad to tell them that we needed to go home. And just at that moment, you came out of the student union building wearing the stupidest hat I have ever seen in my life. It was awesome. And you had a big sign promoting Shinorama, which is Students Fighting Cystic Fibrosis, a charity I've worked with for years. And you had a bucket full of lollipops. And you were walking along and you were handing the lollipops out to people in line and talking about Shinorama. And all of a sudden, you got to me and you just stopped and you stared. It was creepy. This girl right here knows exactly what I'm talking about. And then you looked at the guy next to me and you smiled and you reached in your bucket, you pulled out a lollipop and you held it out to him. And you said, "You need to give a lollipop to the beautiful woman standing next to you." And she said, "I have never seen anyone get more embarrassed faster in my life." He turned beet red and he wouldn't even look at me. He just kind of held the lollipop out like this. And I felt so bad for this dude that I took the lollipop. And as soon as I did, you got this incredibly severe look on your face and you looked at my mom and my dad and you said, "Look at that. Look at that. First day away from home, and already she's taking candy from a stranger." And she said everybody lost it. 20 feet in every direction, everyone started to howl. And I know this is cheesy, and I don't know why I'm telling you this, but in that moment when everyone was laughing, I knew that I shouldn't quit. I knew that I was where I was supposed to be, and I knew that I was home. And I haven't spoken to you once in the 4 years since that day, but I heard that you were leaving. And I had to come up and tell you that you've been an incredibly important person in my life, and I'm gonna miss you. Good luck. And she walks away, and I'm flattened. And she gets about 6 feet away, she turns around and smiles and goes, "You should probably know this too. I'm still dating that guy 4 years later." A year and a half after I moved to Toronto, I got an invitation to their wedding.
I really love this story. It's such a great example of how we can go about our lives each and every day, doing the small, simple things that we normally do, and we can have huge impact on other people and not even realize it. He had no idea that he was making such a big impact on this young woman's life. Someone who is at a crossroads, someone who is so uncertain, so scared, and really just struggling to see herself at the university. He fundamentally transformed her life. And how did he do it? Not by any great act, but simply by doing what he did consistently each and every day. And he may have had similar positive impacts on lots of other people, countless other people that he'd never even heard about. I think that's incredible. And I think each of us has the same opportunity to impact those around us in sometimes very small, simple ways, yet profound ways that have far-reaching impacts on their lives. And also consider how her life was changed, how that fundamentally then it shifted all the people that she impacted in her life. So as we think about the legacy of our actions, we think about how doing good to others, how even just the smallest little things of smiling, saying a kind word, being generous in acknowledging those around us who are important to us. Such a small thing can actually be a huge thing and make such a tremendous difference in the lives of those around us.
Here's the kicker. I don't remember that. I have no recollection of that moment. And I've searched my memory banks because that is funny and I should remember doing it. And I don't remember it. And that was such an eye-opening, transformative moment for me to think that maybe the biggest impact I'd ever had on anyone's life, a moment that had a woman walk up to a stranger 4 years later and say, "You've been an incredibly important person in my life," was a moment that I didn't even remember.
He didn't even remember. He had this tremendous impact on this young woman's life, perhaps changing the course of her entire life. And he doesn't even remember doing it. That's how ordinary and everyday and pedestrian his action was in how he lived his life. He did these things so consistently that he had thousands of these moments, and he couldn't pinpoint, he couldn't even remember doing it with this in this particular situation. He couldn't remember that conversation with this young woman that turned out to be so incredibly impactful. And you just have to think, like, how many more of these opportunities did he seize upon to make a big difference, and he never even knew it? He says, perhaps it's the most important, influential thing I've ever done, and I don't even remember. It's crazy, but it's true, and each of us has the potential of having similar impacts to those around us and in our communities, in our businesses and places of work, and within our families. And it just requires us to just consistently do those simple things each and every day. We may never have the benefit of actually knowing. In this case, the young woman came up to him 4 years later and told him the story and said, "Thank you." And to me, that is also powerful, that we not only have the opportunity to impact and change people's lives in little small ways as we live consistently good lives, but man, we can really have a tremendous impact also just by showing generosity and gratitude and expressing that to the people who do change our lives. I'm excited to announce the publication of my new book from HCI Press, The Alchemy of Truly Remarkable Leadership: Ordinary, Everyday Actions That Produce Extraordinary Results. Consider how the nature of work has shifted over the past 50 years. With increased globalization, rapid technological advancement, and the shift in economic composition, the average job of today looks very different than the average job of 50 years ago. What will the jobs and organizations of tomorrow look like? Moreover, what does this all mean for organizational leaders? What are the core competencies and capabilities of organizations and their leadership that are prepared for continued disruption and geopolitical and socioeconomic shifts? Regardless of what the future holds, increasingly, leaders need to be socially minded, data-driven, decisive, champions of talent, and disruptors of the traditional notions of leadership, teams, organizations, and work. The Alchemy of Truly Remarkable Leadership will help you to explore your own leadership competencies and capabilities and consider ways to apply and implement them into your workplace and personal life.
How many of you guys have a lollipop moment, a moment where someone said something or did something that you feel fundamentally made your life better? All right. How many of you have told that person they did it? See, why not? We celebrate birthdays where all you have to do is not die for 365 days. And yet we let people who have made our lives better walk around without knowing it. And every single one of you has been the catalyst for a lollipop moment. You have made someone's life better by something that you said or that you did. And if you think you haven't, think about all the hands that didn't go back up when I asked that question. You're just one of the people who hasn't been told. But it is so scary to think of ourselves as that powerful. It can be frightening to think that we can matter that much to other people. Because as long as we make leadership something bigger than us, as long as we keep leadership something beyond us, as long as we make it about changing the world, we give ourselves an excuse not to expect it every day from ourselves and from each other.
Why not? Why don't we tell people? He says that perhaps it's because we're afraid of seeing ourselves as a leader, as seeing ourselves as someone that powerful, that influential. And I agree. I think that's in large part what it is. I also think people are just scared. People are just scared in general, whether it's about seeing the potential within them and then having to live up to it, or just, they feel so out of place. They feel so uncomfortable going up to that person and expressing a sincere thought, a sincere piece of thanks, because it makes you vulnerable. When you open up to someone like that and you say, you know what? This thing you did, this had a huge impact on me. It changed my life. It did this, that, or the other to improve the situation of my family. It requires a level of vulnerability. Frankly, not many of us are really ready to open up in that way. And it's too bad, because it is such a powerful thing to show simple gratitude to those around you. And do it with sincerity, of course. I'm not suggesting that you just start going out and throwing around insincere compliments to people, because people will see through you and they'll understand that that's not really something that was impactful. But when you're sincere and you go and you have that conversation with them, as brief as it may be, 30 seconds, a minute, just say thank you. Maybe it's just a text, maybe it's an email. When you do that, it can make all the difference in the world. And so we can get out of our own way by simply embracing ourselves and recognizing that we are the sum total of not just our own efforts, but all the efforts of everyone around us. and how everyone else has contributed to help our lives become the way they are. And that is power, and that can be scary, but it can also allow us to recognize our potential and to reach further and farther and trying to achieve it.
Marianne Williamson said, "Our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light and not our darkness that frightens us." And my call to action today is that we need to get over that. We need to get over our fear of how extraordinarily powerful we can be in each other's lives. We need to get over it so we can move beyond it. And our little brothers and our little sisters, and one day our kids, or our kids right now, can watch us start to value the impact we can have on each other's lives more than money and power and titles and influence.
Each of us has so much potential, and there's so much power within, and it's far beyond any more prescriptive definition of leadership. It's not about position, status, money. All of those things can bring with it opportunity to influence, and you can have formal leadership roles, but all of us have the opportunity to have informal leadership opportunities in our lives each and every day. When we can recognize the power within us, we can tap into that power, we can not shy away from it, but rather embrace it and go out and really leverage that potential to make positive impact in the lives of those around us. That's what life is all about. That's where the beauty in life comes from. And as hard as life can be, and as dark as things can be sometimes, when we share that light with each other, that makes life beautiful and bearable. That's what I want to see more in my own life. And I hope all of you want to see it in yours as well.
We need to redefine leadership as being about lollipop moments. How many of them we create, how many of them we acknowledge, how many of them we pay forward, and how many of them we say thank you for. Because we've made leadership about changing the world, and there is no world. There's only 6 billion understandings of it. And if you change one person's understanding of it, one person's understanding of what they're capable of, one person's understanding of how much people care about them, one person's understanding of how powerful an agent for change they can be in this world, you've changed the whole thing. And if we can understand leadership like that, I think if we can redefine leadership like that, I think we can change everything. And it's a simple idea, but I don't think it's a small one. And I want to thank you all so much for letting me share it with you today.
I completely agree. This is a simple idea, but it is not small by any means. If we can embrace this idea individually and then collectively as communities, as societies, within our places of business, if we can collectively embrace this idea, the sky's the limit in terms of what we can accomplish, because we will enrich each other's lives. We will be there for each other. Our vulnerability will allow us to empathize more and strengthen each other better. We will be in a position to leverage our unique talents to benefit the world around us. And that doesn't require formal titles. We all have that potential. We all, as he said, can be change makers. Whether it's a formal title or an informal opportunity to influence and persuade and to drive change and be a change agent within our team, within our home, within our communities, we all have that potential. It's one of the beautiful things about this life and the world we live in, despite the challenges, the hard things. And I think about the frustrations that I have at work sometimes, the frustrations I have with people, with organizations, institutions, flawed individuals, people who hurt each other, people who exploit each other. Despite all of these hard things, at the base of it all, when I really strip it down, I recognize there are so many people hurting, there are so many people wanting and needing who don't feel that they have what they need, who don't feel supported and don't feel empowered. If we can change that dynamic and help everyone to feel empowered and start with ourselves and then be that example to other people and show them the way that they can feel more meaning and purpose and opportunity in their lives each and every day, and then show gratitude, sincere, genuine gratitude for how other people have impacted our lives, that can change the whole thing. I completely agree with him. That can change the dynamic, often unhealthy dynamic, that we might see in our workplace or in our homes, communities, whatever. It's such a powerful, powerful notion. And it's simple. We can all start doing it right away if we're not already. And I know for myself that this is something I try to do, but I can definitely do it a whole lot better as I am more intentional. And as I get outside of my own mind and my own limiting thoughts, and I get outside of my own insecurities and my own discomfort, and really just recognize how other people need me. I may be uncomfortable, but I don't need to suppress a kind thought. I can be genuinely grateful to those who have made an impact in my life, and they will be appreciative of it, of that expression of gratitude, and that in a small way will change them as well. I hope you've enjoyed this TED Talk, and I hope some of my thoughts have also added to his insights. I hope all of us can see how this can be impactful in our personal lives and in the workplace, in those teams that we lead in our own organizations. As always, I hope you stay healthy and safe. I hope you find meaning and purpose at work each and every day, and I hope you have a great week. We are excited about the launch of HCI's new magazine, Human Capital Leadership. Human Capital Leadership is a free, interactive e-magazine designed to help individuals, leaders, and organizations find innovative approaches to maximize their human capital potential. We will be publishing issues quarterly in August, November, February, and May. Check out the first issue and let us know what you think. Thanks again for joining us for this episode of the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. I hope you stay healthy and safe and that you have a great week.